Good morning. My name is Viljoen, all the way from Welcome Bay in Tauranga, that's on the North Island. Goeiemorgen aan die Afrikaners, away to the Cape Townians. Guys and girls, we are here, and this morning the chat is all about money, wills, insurance, your retirement in New Zealand. Everything we're gonna touch on this morning is all about what you need before, after, and while you are here. Let's just say hi to a few people. Hi Elise, good morning. I see we've got about 11 live watchers out there. Thank you to everybody who on Monday sent me a message. I had tons of messages on my birthday. It was actually quite blessed, so I haven't gotten back to most of the people. On LinkedIn I had something like I think 400 messages. Facebook just went crazy, Messenger, WhatsApp, everywhere. So thanks a lot for all of everybody, and goeiemorgen to Werner, or good evening if you are in South Africa. Guys and girls, this morning 7 degrees outside, sun is slowly but surely rising, and as time goes on, it's quite interesting to see how far the sun is shifting in New Zealand between winter and summer. So in winter the sun comes through that I can see it the whole time in front of me, but now in summer it's moving right to the back of the house. So I think the house will be a bit cooler than it was in winter, and I didn't complain in the winter because it's lovely to have a house that's 20 degrees Celsius. Alright, let's start off. Money this morning. I see the South African rand has been slowly regaining their strength against the New Zealand dollars and other currencies. It's all due to Moody's saying they won't downgrade the country this time around, but that's just what they're saying. It's not what they have done yet. So we're waiting to see what they have done, as the market have incorporated the downgrade into the value of the South African rand. So if there's ever a time you feel like bringing money over, I think now it's a very good time this morning. Perhaps the next week, 2 weeks probably, to bring money to New Zealand or wherever else you are in the world. At an exchange rate, I think it went for 9.49 or something like yesterday, and it turned over to nearly 10 rand to the dollar about 3 weeks ago. That's on the money side. We'll do a bit of a quick announcement money wise as well very soon, in this program this morning as well. Let's quickly talk about wills. If you come to New Zealand, you will need a will. Your South African will work in South Africa, or if you're in Canada, your Canadian will work there, but you will need a will for every country that you have assets in. We currently offer wills for all our customers. We do that for free for them. Wills cost around about $700 if you go to a lawyer, and in New Zealand you need a will per person. So if you're husband and wife, there's no more joint wills like in South Africa. So just keep that in mind. It's going to cost you about $1,400 if you go to a lawyer. Plus then lawyers will sell you a few other things as well as trusts and so on, and stuff that you probably won't need currently. In the long run, you could need trust once you start buying property. There's different ways and means to go about that. On the property side, I will also tell you something before we end off today. On the will side, keep your South African will. Don't stop it once, as long as you've got things there. Keep your South African will. Once you are in New Zealand, make up your mind to who gets what. We normally do husband and wife executor on each other's estates. That just gives you the chance to be able to look for an executor. Executors in New Zealand doesn't take, like in South Africa. In South Africa, executor takes 3.99% of whatever the value is of the will. So if the will is worth 100,000 rand, they will take 3,999 rand. Jeez, struggling with the maths this early in the morning, because it's just past 6 here in New Zealand. On the other side, in New Zealand, they charge you per hour worked. They charge you about $170 per hour, and it takes about 4 hours to do a will. That's what they told me. So wills are quick, much cheaper to do at the end of the day, and then in South Africa. So keep that in mind, but keep your South African will until you've got no more assets that side, and then your New Zealand will need to be here. If you go to Australia, you need an Australian will as well. If you've got assets anywhere else in the world, you need a will in that country. The reason why South African wills doesn't work in New Zealand, it's very easy. The laws differ between these two countries. So that's a big thing. On the other side, on the insurance side, if you move over to New Zealand, keep your South African insurance, keep it intact. You can get your medical aid. If you come on a visa that allows you to use the New Zealand medical or government, New Zealand government medical, New Zealand government medical is, by the way, it's very good medical. They really look after the people. It's on par with Mediclinic in South Africa. But if your visa allows you to use the New Zealand medical system, then you can stop your South African medical aid as soon as you arrive here. Because from that second on, as you go through the borders here, you are covered by the New Zealand medical, I won't say medical aid, but by New Zealand medical. If anything happens, you can immediately go to a hospital and they will sort you out there. That's on the medical side. Insurance side, keep all your insurance in South Africa as is until you arrive in New Zealand. I can help you cancel your insurances in South Africa, as I'm still a South African insurance broker as well. Then insurance-wise, you normally have your life covers, your disability, your dreaded disease, they just call it trauma cover here. So, but different names, very much the same product. You also got your income type of protectors, but then in New Zealand you also got a thing called ACC, something that you do not have in South Africa. It's very much like the road accident fund with the bankrupt one, like the rest of the country. So here you have ACC. ACC it covers everybody. If you are on a visitor's visa, if you are on a work visa, whatever visa, if you are a resident, if you are a citizen, whenever you have an accident, that is when you fall down, you slip, motor accident, falling off your mountain bike, all these type of things is covered by ACC. Now that is on the one side very nice. Now there comes Venita, thanks. You need a visa for 24 months or more to access the New Zealand public medical system. So keep that in mind, especially for the guys who got a lot of, I see a lot of one-year visas coming through these days. You do not have access to them through the New Zealand medical system. That's a bit of a problem that we are working on, and we will have a solution for you on that. I do not have a solution currently, but we will have a solution on that. ACC, whenever that pays out, that will pay out your weekly, whatever you were earning per week, that will pay out your weekly. And if you have something like an income protector, that can offset against ACC. So if your income protector is for $1,000 and ACC pay out $500, your income protector will probably pay only out for $500. But there's different ways and means to structure income protectors as well. You get a mortgage protector that pays out your mortgage while you are here. So just keep that in mind, different ways and means, and from my side I will always try to give you the best product on that. Then let's talk about insurance companies. There's quite a few insurance companies here, and whenever I give anybody a quote, we do a quote in the background first on all the insurance companies, even the ones that I do not necessarily have codes with, and I have only got codes with A+ companies, to be quite frank. From my side, I will never advise you to look at a company that's not an A+. Anything A+ or anything below A+, that does always bring the thought there, will they be able to pay out my claim when that is needed? So that's just something that I want to share out with you there. Companies is also rated the same as that the South African government is rated, or Eskom is rated by Moody's, and these type of people. They get rated on, I think, on 6 monthly or yearly basis, and that's where they get their rating from. So it's not a rating they can think or thumbs up. It's an outside rating. So then retirement. Well, let's make our announcement. What is the time? At nearly 6:10. From my South African company. My South African company is called One Rock, and we situated in Cape Town. We have got the contract to sell Allan Gray Australia. So for everybody in New Zealand, or even in South Africa, if you want an offshore account, we currently in South Africa we have the Sanlam account, or the Sanlam contract to sell offshore in Isle of Man, Guernsey, and now we've got Allan Gray to sell you the Allan Gray offshore funds here. I just want to quickly bring a few. There's 3 of these funds in Australia. The one is the Allan Gray Stable Fund. That has done 6.7% over the period. That's in Australian dollars. Just keep that in mind. That's in Australian dollars, and that it can differ depending on what happens in the countries as well. Then the Allan Gray Balance Fund, that has given around a 7.4% return. And then the Australian Equity Fund from Allan Gray, giving you a return over 10 years of 10.6%. So If you have your money in New Zealand in a bank, you get about 1.5 to 3% depending on how they fix that for you. But from the different fund classes, all the way from 6.7, 7.4 and 10.6, but all of these differ in periods of time. Ideally, you do not want to be in any of these funds under a 2 to 3 year period, to be quite frank. The Australian, the stable fund, very much like the money market type of fund, has also got money market type of instruments on the inside, and that is basically a 2 year fund. Anything more than that would be, I want to call it financial suicide. You just don't do that. It's one of those things that a good broker will always tell you, be in it for the period of time, not how many times you can get into a fund. Be in it for that period of time, because if the market goes down and you have time to recover as well. So that's one of the big things about investing. The small drawback on this is the Alan Gray Australia side. They start off from 10,000 Australian dollars. So if you put 10,000 Australian dollars in, that is to open your account, and thereafter you can add 1,000 Australian dollars minimum per month, or you can add 1,000 Australian dollars every 2 months, every 3 months, but that is the minimums. I know it may sound a bit harsh for some people, but moving money offshore and so on is not that cheap. So we try to keep that open to different avenues to make it cheaper for you. The more money you move per time, the cheaper it becomes. You see, there's a question here: how does Alan Gray retirement annuity work? The Alan Gray retirement annuity is only available in South Africa, and it works like any other retirement annuity. These is not retirement annuities. You can at any time have your money, but as I always say, caution to year. You must be in this between 2 to 5 years to really see the growth in there. So if you're starting to save for a house, and you say, Jan, let's put some money away for a house, we will help you in your KiwiSaver and get that up and running, because that's good. It gives you money from government. And then I would say, let's do some money into the Alan Gray if you can afford that, and start building capital there, and then have a time period for when we want to do the withdrawal, because that's also important. You can't say, today I'm going to save, but you don't know how long you want to save to. You want to save for a goal. You want to buy that elusive Ferrari, or you want to buy the house in New Zealand, which is about the same price as a Ferrari. So whatever you're saving for, that will be the end. So once you have reached the end, you've got to put a date to the end. You've got to say 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, and on that basis we will decide where to put your money. If your money is below 2 years period of time, then you can rather put it into the bank. You know that there's no up or downs in the bank. Elise says, I have an Alan Gray fund, and they said that I cannot invest offshore. If that is on a retirement annuity, they're quite right. Regulation 28 in South Africa requires a retirement annuity to not be more than 30% offshore. So Vanita Hoban says KiwiSaver is only available if you are a resident. Vanita, you're quite right there. Only if you are a resident or a citizen, because government gives you some money towards that. I know a lot of people coming on a work visa do get a KiwiSaver, and that's somewhere by the place that they work gives them a KiwiSaver. But once IRD finds that out, they'll just repay the money back into your account. Some people are lucky; they're not found out within the small period of time between having a work visa up to residence. And on that basis, they do start off a bit earlier than the rest, but not everybody is that lucky. Sean, could you perhaps provide more feedback what the KiwiSaver entails? KiwiSaver is basically a way that you save money. Sometimes your employer will contribute 3%, 5%, I think 8%, and you contribute from your side as well. Once both of you are contributing, once a year government will look at it, or IRD will look at this, and they can give you up to $521 per year back into your KiwiSaver. There is certain rules and regulations. One of these is you should put at least $100 per month towards your KiwiSaver. So if you put $100 towards your KiwiSaver for that financial year you were in the KiwiSaver, you get your full amount allocated from government. A small thing on the retirement side, KiwiSaver pays out at age 65. It pays out at the lump sum. It's tax-free currently. We don't know what government will change to. They could make it later that they do tax you on this. It doesn't give you a monthly income. That's the one drawback about it. This is not a retirement annuity in South Africa. They pay out lump sum, there you go, thank you very much, there's your money, let's go. On the other side, the government has got a retirement fund as well, or pension fund, that they do pay you out. Certain rules and regulations as well on that. But if you are single, you can get the amount of $411 per week. And if you are married, that's you and the wife, you can get $633 per week. But remember, there are certain rules and regulations. Then back to the Alan Gray Fund, it's quite easy to get involved into that. If you need more information on that, just let me know. Remember the minimum amount of 10,000 Australian dollars to start off, and thereafter about $1,000 per month if you want to do a straight payment over to them, or otherwise on minimum increments of $1,000. Andre Scholes just says that he's following us a while now, and okay, sorry, it's a lot in English, and I lost some of it because it's quite a long, but we'll answer Andre later to that. Then on the other side, next week I will have somebody in that is going to help us with our mortgages. We have had a very successful meeting this week with this person, and we have very good news, and I think to bring him on board is really the next step up for everybody. He will also work together with us to help you guys to save money so that you eventually can buy a house. And he promised me his lenders that he is using is willing to do houses from 5% upwards. So that is quite good news. There's certain terms and conditions as well with everything else. So, any questions this morning regarding finances and so forth? What do you really need in New Zealand? Life cover you need. If anything happens to you, you really need life cover. You also need your will. Remember to speak to somebody regarding where the kids will go, because that's what I find is lacking in most of the people, especially when they are new arrivals. They arrive here and they've got nobody to look after the kids should anything happen to them. So at this current stage, me and the wife is probably looking at about 200 kids. If anything happens to them, we will be the temporary guardian there, and we will step in for a small period of time until the guardians can arrive here. We try to do that to ease the burden of people, and if your guardian is in South Africa, then you've got a problem for them to reach New Zealand in a very short period of time. And on the other hand, as I always say, the system in New Zealand is extremely good, but you do not want your kid to go into the system. That is just a few things from my side. Stuff that happened this week. Somebody asked me a stupid question: where can he get a link up for something? And I actually gave him a name that I saw on a car door, or a ute, as they call a bakkie here. So a bakkie in New Zealand is called a ute. I saw a name on a ute's door the other night, and I gave him this name and said, try these people. I don't really know these people. Try these people. He actually phoned them up and he received a job offer from them. He just let me know last night. So small miracles do happen. I last night, I've been at a client at about 7 o'clock, and I said to them, this was the first week I haven't seen any South Africans. And lo and behold, as I came home, somebody said they're seeing me on Saturday. So, yep, you never get rid of the South Africans in New Zealand. There's tons of us here. Guys, any other questions this morning quickly regarding finances? Bringing money over. I will once again drop the link to help you bring money over. This week has been quite a high turnover week for us there. I brought up over, I think, about 60 million or something like that. That's the amount of people that wants to leave the country. So it's quite hectic out there. Elise Cornford said on the will side, I missed a part of it. Do you have to have a South African? You need to have a will in every country that you have assets in. So if you still got a house or bank account or anything in South Africa, you need a South African will there. Your New Zealand will won't work in South Africa, neither will your South African will work in New Zealand. So when I started off down in New Zealand, first thing I did was to study a bit into the will situation, as I thought it was quite the same. I mean, you don't think two different countries could be this different, but it is this different. So on the will side, have one in South Africa, have one in New Zealand. You've got assets anywhere else, except if you've got offshore account from South Africa. That's a bit of a different beast. Let's say you've gone to Sanlam and Sanlam have said, I want to put your money on the Isle of Man or Guernsey or wherever. I'm just using Sanlam as an example here. Your South African will govern that money because the company that did it for you, or the company responsible there, is a South African company. But if you bring your money over to New Zealand and you have money in the bank here, you need a New Zealand will. If you've got the Alan Gray Australian funds and you are in New Zealand at current stage, you will need a New Zealand will. If you got the Australian Alan Gray funds and you are in South Africa, you will need a South African will. It's easy as that. So let's keep that in mind. Back to the Alan Gray Australia will. I just want to make it sure to everybody that I'm using my South African company for that, to bring the money over on that, and you'll get a letter from me stating that as well. I'm not using the New Zealand company at all. Laws are a bit different in New Zealand, and they're busy changing it in such a way that it's not easy for us to help on the investment side, and they are quite unsure as to where the laws are going, and within, I think by October we've got to register for certain things. Only from there onwards I think the laws will come into play. And to take a step back, New Zealand is, insurance wise, basically where South Africa is or was in 2007. So all the laws and stuff that changed in 2007, 2008 is now happening in New Zealand. So there's a bit of a time of uncertainty around that. Peter van Niekerk asks, does your SA life insurance cover you in New Zealand like the death? Yep, death, if you die, in most countries in the world, your South African life insurance will pay out. Disability and critical illness, or is it better to cancel and get in New Zealand? Disability and critical illness, you can become disabled in New Zealand and you can have a critical illness in New Zealand. The problem there is, if you start a claim, your claim in South Africa, the small print in your policy says, by a South African medical practitioner. So whoever says, you've got cancer, mate, they will have to be a South African medical practitioner. Otherwise, you will have all over the world suddenly sending a lot of different claims to South African insurance companies. And I think you can think about the type of doctors working in different countries. I'm not saying they're good or bad, but keep that in mind. That's the one thing that they've made it quite sure. So if you get cancer in New Zealand, you have to fly back to South Africa to do your claim. Quite frank on the price difference between New Zealand and South Africa. If you are a smoker, and not a lot of people are smokers here, and a lot of people stop smoking here because of the price of cigarettes. That's 340 Rand a packet. For a packet of 20, 340 Rand a packet. You will stop smoking with that prices normally. But smoker rates is about 10% cheaper than South African rates. And then if you're a non-smoker, it's much cheaper than South African rates. So par on par, about 10% cheaper smoker rates to South Africa. But if you are a non-smoker, I've even gotten some policies from different companies there. I'm not going to name them now. It's not a name and shame program, which is 50% cheaper to 60% cheaper in New Zealand. We do not have the crime factor here. We do not factor that in as a payout of claims at the end of the day. Do we cancel our South African life insurance? This comes from Ilonka or Det Brand. When we come over, or do you carry on paying the RA, or what's the best plan? Life insurance, RA, two different things. Life insurance is when you die. Keep your life insurance until you are here. Contact me as soon as you are here. We can, within about a week or 2 weeks, have a new life insurance on the books here for you. And we can cancel your South African life insurance as well. On the RA side, make your RAs paid up. Then ask the person, whoever is your advisor in South Africa on the RA side, except that you will pay a small fee, or not a fee, like a small fine on the RA, but that will just be withdrawn from the original amount, about 4 or 5% of the value. Ask them to put that amount of money, take it out of any other fund and put it into the money market fund within the RA. It can be done. Please do not let them tell you it cannot be done. That way means there's no up or there's only up, no downs on that. Even if the money market only makes 7%, you're 7% up, and if you were in equities, you could have been 20% down. So keep that in mind, is where to put your money on your RA. Vanita's asking, is vaping the same as normal cigarettes? They even regard one cigarette a year as smoking. So vaping falls straight in the same category as normal cigarettes, and vaping is actually more dangerous because you cannot put an amount really to how much people is vaping. So this is the one problem. If you are a smoker, you've got your packet of 20, and tonight you can see, I had 5 or I had all 20. Like me, I would have normally had about 3 packs of 20. So, but vaping, you can't really determine how much that person is vaping. So that's a bit of a grey area there. On the other side, we've got about 4 minutes left now. What else do I want to tell you? Next week, we will bring a new mortgage advisor on, and I think it's going to be a very interesting talk with him. And let's see what he can bring up to the table. He's down in Auckland, and he's doing very good there. He's quite famous back in Auckland, and having 9 years experience in the bank with us, I mean, he's just the right guy to bring on. So next week we will have a mortgage advisor here. Guys, on the money side, I'll put the link up once again for Currency Partners, the guys who assist us with moving money to New Zealand. Actually, they assist you with moving money anywhere in the world. They can also assist you with moving money from anywhere in the world into South Africa. Okay, keep that in mind. They can't move money between the UK and the USA, for instance, but they can move money from South Africa into New Zealand, and they can move money from New Zealand into South Africa. So that's basically what these guys are doing for us. Plus, then at the end of the day, they do the financial immigration for you at a cost of about 9,500 Rand for everybody in your family, kids included. Last year, about 3 sessions ago, we had them on here on 30 Minutes with Jan, and they explained to us why the kids as well, if the kids get an inheritance out of South Africa, they will need to be financially immigrated for them to get the money. Elise explained the R again. Elise, your South African retirement annuity, ask your broker in South Africa to make it paid up. That's the word, paid up. It takes about 2 weeks, and they bring you a quotation, a paid up quotation. There is a small fee to that, but you do not have to pay it. They just pull it off the initial amount. So if it's 4%, they take the 4% off the value of the retirement annuity. Then you ask them to move the inside of the retirement annuity, because you can't move the money out of your retirement annuity without financial immigration. Ask them the funds that the RA is currently invested in. They must move all of that, 100% of that funds, into the money market. The reason behind that being, once again, is money in the money market ticks along at about 8% per year, going upwards, while money in the stock exchange or property or other equities goes up and down crazy. If you are planning to financially immigrate at the end of the day, it's better to have your money just ticking along at about 8% than to come to the period of time where you will find out your money has lost 20% of its value. So just keep that in mind. Rochelle asked, do you have to be 55 to have it paid up? No. You need to be 55 to make it paid out in South Africa. And once you get it paid out in South Africa, you can never move it out of there. Just keep that in mind. If you are near to 55 and your broker tells you, as I've seen some brokers tell their clients that side, guys, leave your money here, take your 1/3 and the 2/3. You can later take the 2/3. You can never take the 2/3 of your retirement annuity once you've gone on that. So once you've taken that payout, you can never move the rest of the money out of South Africa. You can move it out at the full amount if you financially immigrate. That is the basis of that. Let me see where the time is running. We've got 1 minute. Any other questions there? So on my side here, the sun is rising. It's a lovely morning. It's going to be, I reckon, if I'm going to do a thumb suck, I reckon it's going to be 20 degrees today. 20 degrees here is quite nice and lovely and warm. This morning started off at about 7. I do believe it will slowly rise up there. All right, guys and girls, for anything else, if you need me, contact me. If you are in New Zealand, pop around, come have a coffee. Wherever you are in the country, feel free to send me a message, Facebook Messenger, send me an email. To the guys that's got my telephone number, send me. I'm on WhatsApp still old South African, still on WhatsApp. Or send me, as the Kiwis do, send me a text. That time of the morning, guys and girls, to say thanks a lot for all participating. Love you and leave you. And it's time for me to go and start off today. And the rest of the South Africans, stay safe, guys. Stay safe out there. Until next time.